Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're taking a close look at the global market for deep brain stimulators, DBS, basically.
That's right. We've got this really comprehensive report here. It's the Global Deep Brain Stimulator Market Report 2025 from Cognitive Market Research.
And it is dense. I mean, over 250 pages packed with data, forecasts, analysis, looking all the way out to 2033.
Exactly. And, just to set the stage for you listening, deep brain stimulation. Well, it's not a drug treatment. It's more like using tiny electrical pulses.
Right, targeted at very specific brain areas with implanted devices.
Precisely. And it's becoming increasingly important for various neurological disorders. What this report really highlights is that the growing number of people with these conditions is, well, a key factor driving this market forward.
So our mission today is to kind of unpack that, pull out the most important insights, maybe some surprising facts about where things stand now and where they're headed.
And this report, it's the 8th edition, updated just this March 2025. So the data is fresh.
Super fresh, covers market size, growth rates, regional stuff, who the main companies are, the works. Okay, so let's dive in.
Let's do it.
Big picture first. What are we looking at in terms of the global market size for DDS right now? And what's the growth trajectory like?
Okay, so for 2025, the projection is USD 1562.5 million. Globally.
1562.5 million. Got it.
But the interesting part is the forecast. By 2033, it's expected to hit almost 3,500 million. So USD 498.33 million.
Wow, okay. That's quite a jump.
It really is. That works out to a compound annual growth rate, a CGR of 10.6% between 2025 and 2033.
10.6%. That's a pretty steep climb, isn't it? Basically, it's set to double in size in, what, 8 years?
Pretty much, yeah. Less than a decade.
And like we mentioned, a big part of that story is the increasing number of people dealing with neurological issues.
Absolutely. Conditions like Parkinson's disease, DBS can be really effective for the motor symptoms there. Yeah. Also essential tremor.
And even things like severe depression are being researched, right?
Exactly. There's promising work being done there, too.
Okay, so let's get a geographical sense of this. Where is this market concentrated? How does it break down region by region?
Right now, North America is the leader. It holds the biggest slice of the pie, over 37% of the market in 2025.
37%. And in dollar terms?
That's about USD 578.13 million for 2025. And its growth is solid, too. A CGR of 9.0% predicted through 2033.
Okay, 9%. And within North America, I assume the U.S. is the main player.
Oh, definitely. The U.S. market alone is estimated at USD 456.14 million in 2025, growing at about 8.8% CAGR.
And Canada and Mexico.
They're significant, too. Canada around 69 million, Mexico about 53 million, both with CAGRs over 9% as well. So 9.8% for Canada, 9.5% for Mexico.
Yeah, that makes sense. You've got the advanced healthcare infrastructure, high spending.
And unfortunately, a high prevalence of these neurological conditions, too. That all contributes.
What about across the pond in Europe? What's the picture there?
Europe's the second biggest market, holds over 29% of the share this year.
Okay, almost a third.
Yeah, translated to about USD 453.13 million. And the growth is strong, too. Projected CAGR of 9.6%.
9.6, so slightly faster than North America overall.
Seems like it, yeah. Key countries there are the UK growing fast at 10.4% CAGR, and Germany also strong at 9.8%.
And I guess France, Italy, Russia also play significant roles.
They do. They're important parts of that European market picture.
So established markets, both showing really healthy, consistent growth. But you mentioned, and the report highlights, one region that's really picking up speed, Asia Pacific.
Exactly. APAC. It counts for about 24% of the global market in 2025, so around USD 375 million.
Okay, so smaller share than North America or Europe currently.
Currently, yes. But here's the kicker. It's projected to have the fastest growth, a TGR of 13.4%.
13.4%. Wow, okay. That is rapid. Which countries are leading that charge?
China's a big one. Market size of 157.5 million, growing at 12.9%. And India is growing even faster, a projected CGR of 15.3%, though starting from a smaller base of around 37.5 million.
15% TGR for India. That's huge.
It is. And Japan, South Korea, Australia, they're all contributing to this really dynamic growth in the APAC region.
So what's behind that? Why such acceleration in Asia Pacific?
Well, it's kind of a combination of factors. You've got increasing investments in healthcare infrastructure generally.
Right, more capacity for advanced treatments.
Exactly. Then there's the growing elderly population in many of these countries, which sadly often means more neurological disorders. And on top of that, just a rising awareness and sort of acceptance of treatments like DBS as a viable option.
That paints a very clear picture. Okay, what about the other regions? South America, Middle East, Africa. Are they seeing growth too?
They are, yes. South America holds just over 4% of the market share, about 59 million USD, but with a strong CGR of 11.3%.
11%. Okay.
Brazil and Argentina are the main drivers there. The Middle East is similar, also around a 4% share, about 62.5 million USD, growing slightly faster at 11.9% CAGR. Saudi Arabia and the UAE are key there.
Interesting. And Africa?
Africa has the smallest share currently, around 2.2%. That's about 34 million USD, but still growing respectably at a 10.9% CAGR. South Africa and Nigeria are notable markets.
So while there's smaller markets now, the growth potential is definitely there across the board.
Absolutely. Significant growth potential in those regions, too.
So summarizing the geography, growth everywhere, but APAC is really the one to watch for speed. Okay, let's just gear slightly. The report breaks things down by the type of DBS device. What are the main categories?
Essentially, there are two main types, single-channel and dual-channel DBS systems.
Single versus dual. What's the basic difference?
Think of it like this. A single-channel device stimulates one target area in the brain. A dual-channel device can stimulate two different areas simultaneously.
Gotcha. And how does the market split between those two?
Currently, the single-channel systems actually hold the larger market share.
Oh, interesting. Why is that?
Well, mostly because they've been around longer. They're kind of the established technology, proven effective, especially for conditions like Parkinson's, where symptoms might initially be more on one side.
So the tried and true option still leads for now, but I think the report suggested one type is growing faster?
That's right. The dual-channel DBS devices are the fastest growing segment.
Okay. And the logic there?
Because they can target multiple brain regions, they offer more flexibility. You can potentially get more precise, more tailored treatment.
Right, which would be better for maybe more complex cases or symptoms affecting both sides of the body.
Exactly. Or, different aspects of brain function. It just allows for more nuanced stimulation.
That makes perfect sense. Okay, and what about where these procedures are happening? The end users, as the report calls them.
Well, hospitals dominate currently. They capture the largest market share.
Which seems logical, right? You need the surgeons, the neurologists, the equipment.
Precisely. They have the comprehensive infrastructure, the skilled teams, the imaging tech, everything needed for the implantation and the follow-up care.
So the hospital setting is the main hub. Is that shifting at all?
It is, somewhat. Neurological clinics are actually the fastest growing segment among end users.
Ah, okay. Specialized clinics.
Yes. These clinics are becoming increasingly equipped to offer this kind of advanced therapy. They can provide really focused expertise, maybe more personalized care plans.
So a move towards more specialized centers. Interesting.
The report also mentions ambulatory surgical centers, ASCs, as another setting. Smaller, but also growing.
Right. So a potential trend towards more specialized, maybe slightly more accessible environments over time. Okay, let's pull back a bit. Beyond the numbers and segments, what's really driving all this growth? We know neurological disorders are increasing. What else is fueling the fire?
That increasing prevalence is definitely, a core engine. More need equals more demand for effective treatments like DBS. But critically, technological advancements are a huge driver too.
In the devices themselves.
Yes. We're seeing constant innovation. Things like better lead designs the wires that deliver the stimulation. Rechargeable batteries that last much longer, which is a big deal for patients.
Oh, absolutely. Fewer replacement surgeries.
Exactly. Wireless programming, too, making adjustments easier for everyone. And, importantly, improvements in the surgical techniques themselves.
Like making them less invasive.
Yes. Things like MRI-guided surgery, robot-assisted surgery. These techniques aim to make the procedure safer, potentially less daunting for patients, maybe quicker recovery times.
Those advancements sound like they definitely make DBS a more attractive option for more people. And it's not just the tech, is it? Is the perception changing too?
Absolutely. There's definitely a growing acceptance of DBS, both within the medical community and among patients. It's seen as a really effective option, particularly for people whose symptoms aren't well controlled by medication alone.
So as more positive long-term data comes out.
Exactly. As the benefits and the improved quality of life become clearer, more doctors recommend it, and more patients are willing to consider it.
So we've got greater need, better tech, and growing acceptance. That's a powerful mix driving this market.
Okay, looking ahead then, What are some key trends shaping the future here? Well, one clear trend is that continued push towards minimally invasive surgical techniques.
Makes sense. Less risk, faster recovery.
Right. As these methods get even better and more widespread, it's likely to encourage even greater adoption of DBS. It just lowers the barrier, in a way.
Seems like a definite win-win. What else is on the horizon?
Another really exciting trend is the expansion of what DBS might be used for.
Beyond the traditional movement disorders.
Exactly. While it's well established there's a ton of research looking into its effectiveness for a much broader range of conditions. We mentioned severe depression earlier,
Uh-huh.
but also things like obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD, maybe even Alzheimer's disease, and also chronic pain.
Wow, that's quite a range. Potentially huge implications if those applications pan out.
It really is. It could significantly broaden the impact of this technology.
But there's always a but, isn't there? The report did point out a potential brake on this growth. What's the main restraint?
Yeah, the big one is cost. These are sophisticated systems, the surgery is complex, and there's ongoing care needed. It all adds up.
So the device cost, the procedure cost, the long-term follow-up.
Exactly. And then you have the issue of reimbursement. Insurance coverage can be limited or inconsistent, especially in some regions or healthcare systems.
Which can really limit access, right? Particularly in lower income areas or for people without great insurance.
Precisely. It remains a significant barrier for many people who could potentially benefit. So while the tech race is ahead, the financial side is still a major hurdle.
A crucial point. Okay, finally, let's touch on the competitive landscape. Who are the main companies in this DBS space?
It's a competitive market, but it's quite concentrated at the top. Medtronic, Boston Scientific, and Abbott Laboratories are really the dominant global players.
The big three, essentially.
Pretty much. Though there are other players too, like Nevro Corporation, Synapse Biomedical. They're also contributing innovation.
And there's been some recent news from the big players, hasn't there? Approvals, trials.
Yes, definitely. Just back in January 2024, actually, both Abbott and Medtronic got significant FDA approvals.
Oh, right. What were they?
Abbott got approval for their Liberta RCDBS system. They're highlighting it as the smallest rechargeable device out there. And it has remote programming, which is great for convenience.
Smallest rechargeable with remote programming.
Okay.
And Medtronic.
Medtronic got the green light for their Percept RCDBS system. That one incorporates their BrainSense technology, which is interesting because it can actually sense and record brain signals.
Ah, so not just stimulating, but potentially listening, too. That
Yeah.
could be big for personalization.
Exactly. And speaking of personalization, both companies announced major trials back in September 2024. Medtronic's is called ADTT-PD, focused on tailoring DBS for Parkinson's.
Okay.
And Abbott's is the Transcend study, looking at DBS for treatment-resistant depression.
So pushing the boundaries on both personalization and expanding applications. Clearly a very active field.
Absolutely. Constant innovation and research are really central here.
Okay, so let's try and bring everything together. After this deep dive into the report, what are the main takeaways for you?
Well, I think it's clear that global DBS market is definitely on a strong growth path. It's being really fueled by that combination of more people needing treatment for neurological disorders and the technology itself just getting better and better.
And geographically, Asia-Pacific is the hot spot for growth speed.
Definitely the fastest growing.
Mm.
And within the market itself, we're seeing that shift towards dual-channel devices offering more tailored therapy and also the rise of specialized neurological clinics as key places for treatment.
So all this growth, all these advancements, fundamentally, it means more potential options for people living with some really tough, debilitating conditions.
Exactly. That's the bottom line, isn't it? This market expansion signifies real progress, more possibilities for treatment, and hopefully improved quality of life for individuals facing these neurological challenges. The move to less invasive techniques, the exploration of new uses, it offers genuine hope for a wider group of patients down the line.
It really does. Which brings us to a final thought for you, our listener, to maybe mull over. With these advancements happening so quickly and the potential applications of DBS broadening all the time, what currently unforeseen uses might emerge in the next decade or so? And maybe more critically, how do we tackle those big challenges around cost and access to make sure these incredible technologies actually reach everyone who stands to benefit, no matter their situation or where they live? Definitely something complex to think about. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.